It was in September of 2010 that India witnessed its very own technological revolution, a social inclusion program which was unparalleled in its scale and ambition. Aadhaar promised to solve one of the biggest problems ailing Indian residents, a lack of identity. Tagged as the world's largest and most complex biometric system, the unique identification program is one of the most ambitious and mammoth tasks the Indian government has undertaken in a while. However, once the initial hype died down, the program had its fair share of hiccups with concerns around privacy violations, the reliability of data, security gaps, and not to forget executional challenges. But today, Aadhaar stands tall with a staggering 27 crore enrollments and an intricately planned integration design with government schemes, shutting down its fiercest critics. What makes this program so unique, and how is this movement going to change the socio-economic landscape for India in 2013? That's the pertinent question Nikita Saxena attempts to answer.
If till now Aadhaar was a scheme that everyone enrolled for without quite knowing what the 12-digit UID number would achieve, 2013 is all set to change those notions. Aadhaar now boasts of recognition by the RBI as valid proof for a bank account. Aadhaar-linked direct cash transfers are all set to go live in 2013. With UIDAI's electronic Know Your Customer service, getting a mobile number or an insurance policy could soon be a hassle-free process at the fingertips of anyone with a UID number.
We have made a list of government schemes and a set of districts in which these schemes could be rolled out. And it is our hope that during January, these schemes or the disbursement of funding from these schemes would shift to the Aadhaar-based platform. Now, this would actually make transfers very easy. It would eliminate delays. It would eliminate middlemen. And it would also eliminate duplicate beneficiaries.
What we have really enabled is a financial inclusion by helping people to open bank accounts based on Aadhaar. Second one is help the service provider to transfer in bulk the subsidies and other kinds of entitlements using the Aadhaar payment bridge.
Aadhaar's success story is best seen in its numbers. With 27 crore applications across the country for an Aadhaar card and 22 crore cards issued, an impressive 18.62% of the total population in India is already a part of the scheme as of 2012. Aadhaar's area of influence and relevance will see a considerable boost with a mammoth increase in its reach and penetration.
So when we began, there were a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainties about whether this technology will scale up, whether this technology will work at such a scale or not. On some days we are generating 1 billion numbers also, so we are scaling up very fast.
As Aadhaar-enabled services become a reality in 2013, with government-run schemes like PDS, direct cash transfers and NREGA, Aadhaar's aim for social inclusion will truly be realized next year. A move that will potentially reduce leakages, increase efficiency and greatly enhance the accountability of government social sector schemes. So what is next on the cards for the scheme that is poised to gain momentum in the new year? Sonali Krishna spoke to Nandan Nilekani, Chairman UIDAI, the man himself, to find out exactly that.
Our goal is by sometime next year to enroll 40 crore people, which is 1 out of every 3 Indian residents, and by the following year 60 crore people, which is 1 out of every 2 Indian residents. So that's on the enrollment side.
Sure.
But this is also an open platform for applications.
In 2013, can we see Aadhaar-enabled services actually take form in a big way?
Well, certainly the cash transfer is an example of that.
Sure.
What the cash transfer does is, for the first time, you have the ability at one end, say the government wants to send a pension to somebody, and let's say it's 1,000 rupees. At one end, the government says, give 1,000 rupees to this Aadhaar number. At the other end, the person with that Aadhaar number can go to any location in the country, to any business correspondent, give his finger, prove that he is that person and take money out of his bank account.
If you can explain to me, how will you deal with, let's say you're going district by district, this whole imbalance of coverage for some time till it actually becomes uniform and homogeneous. How will you deal with the enabled services when...
Sure. I think so. Services will be enabled and activated as and when districts have a certain level of penetration.
Okay.
So for example, the districts selected by the government are the first 51 districts. So whenever we hit 80% enrollment or we hit 90% enrollment of beneficiaries of a program, then you start activating the service. So it will be rolled out gradually.
Scalability. How are you going to deal with, scalability in ensuring, I'm sure you already know that you have to get the technology in the right place, you have to get the operators, etc., etc. But to achieve scalability, I'm sure you have already thought of a strategy in place. What is that strategy, if you can throw some light?
See, there's two types of scalability, front end and back end.
Sure.
Front end scalability is having enough enrollment stations and enough operators to operate those enrollment stations.
Right.
Typically, one enrollment station can do anywhere from 40 to 50 enrollments per day. And therefore, we have created an ecosystem of enrollment agencies. Over 100,000 people have been certified to operate these machines in the last 2 years. So there's a very wide human capital base to do the operations. And they in turn are hired by the enrolling agencies. On the back end, it's all about computers. Sure. Because finally, at the back end is just very sophisticated data processing and computing. Right. So the back end scalability comes by adding more and more computers. At the front end, scalability comes by adding more and more enrollment stations.
But what about quality checks? What about efficiencies?
We have a completely database system. So we have what's called as big data. So essentially, every time anybody is enrolled anywhere in the country, we have complete information about how long it took, how many mistakes he made, how many times he retook the photograph, and then we have quality checks at the back, and we can actually, using this big data and analytics, we can rate the operator quality, operator efficiency, and those operators that are at the bottom, we can retrain them, or if they are not able to do it, they move on. We're not managing through physicality, it's not by owning them, but we manage through information.
Now here's an idea that was born in the spur of the moment way back in 2006. It all started with Nicholas Negroponte, founder of the MIT lab, who came to India with his $100 laptop scheme in tow. Little did he know that he'd sparked a vision in the Ministry of Human Resource Development for a tablet that would aspire not just to match but beat this very scheme. The project finally went underway in 2009 and the world's cheapest tablet, Aakash, was given birth to in October of 2011. Designed as the elixir of India's stunted education story, Aakash soon came to the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Nicknamed the electronic brick for its technical faults, Aakash's failure forced a determined government to improvise. An improvisation that resulted in the launch of a superior tablet device, Aakash 2. With tall ambitions of changing the educational landscape of India and reaching out to all of its 220 million students, Aakash 2 is well on its way to becoming a brand to watch out for in 2013. If you're wondering how, well, Kushbu Patoria is here to tell you just that.
This time round, the Indian government is fiercely determined towards making Aakash a ground reality, something it failed to do when it launched Aakash 1. The first phase of the rollout in January 2013 will see 100,000 units of Aakash 2 that will be handed over to IIT Bombay, which will in turn distribute them to other engineering colleges and universities around the country.
The government commitment is to get the larger number of tablets procured and deployed at 50% concession that everybody speaks of. All 1 lakh tablets are being paid for by the government and they have to be deployed in our project. But the next tranche which the government will procure, these will be procured from multiple vendors and these will be deployed. So government is committed to bring into the market in the educational segment at least 50 to 60 lakh tablets over the next one.
The second and most crucial factor that will contribute to Aakash's success is its compelling price point. Most technology experts believe that 2013 will be a landmark year for the tablet market, so much so that tablets will soon replace personal computers. The commercial version of Aakash 2, the UB Slate 7CI that will be available in local retail outlets, stands to gain from this trend given its disruptive price of Rs 4,300.
December of 2012, more tablets than notebooks in India. By December of 2013, we'll probably have
twice the number, if not 3 times the number of tablets than notebooks. And it's all going to be driven by devices, quality devices, where the pricing just keeps coming back.
Historically, government projects like these haven't been very successful simply because of a lack of local content. Aakash 2 has taken care of that very well. With IIT Bombay at the helm of this project, a host of educational tools, applications and online lectures in regional languages have already been designed for the tablet.
This is something that could really help to boost a lot of the skill set and the education and so forth. And in that sense, purely on that merit, you could argue that there is quite a bit of success. In other countries like Thailand, where, there's a question of whether or not there's enough local content that's available. The good thing is, in the India case, we do see that content already available.
It's now time to get a complete lowdown from the creator of Aakash 2, the CEO of Datawind, Suneet Singh Tuli. Sonali Krishna caught up with the man in the spotlight and began by asking him the progress they've seen with Aakash 2 as far as being able to fulfill the number of orders they've received from the government so far.
After this initial batch of 100,000 units, they will put out tenders for another 5 million units. And they've got a budget in place for those 50 lakh units. This is the second stage. We expect that the scale will easily reach 30 to 40 million units annually as soon as 2 or 3 years from now.
You said, it will look at a tender process. What do you mean? That you'll be one of the many competitors?
We will be one of the many competitors. What the government's done is that they've recognized that the specifications in technology change very, very fast. So they're going to improve the specifications or modify the specifications every 6 months and ask everybody to come in and bid and try to achieve their price point. The government has set a target price point which is very, very aggressive. So they're purchasing around $40, rupees 2,263 at this point, but the target price is $35. The very large companies, the traditional brand names that you may be more familiar with, don't want to participate in these. I'll give you a prime example. The UP tender for tablets just closed. The lowest bid for that was 19,000 rupees. So, by setting eligibility criteria in that tender as an example that allowed only multinationals to participate, the lowest bid in there was at 19,000 rupees.
So, while we've heard about Aakash and bits and spurts, and a lot of criticism for Aakash 1, your critics were very loud. We are yet to see a comprehensive communication campaign to actually educate, build awareness, and, even possibly talk about the benefits of what this revolutionary tablet at a fantastic price point can actually do.
I think it's intentional. I think that the government doesn't want to misset expectations before wide availability. So remember the two products. One is the UV Slate series of devices, which is our commercial brand sold in the open markets. The second is Aakash, what we deliver to the Indian government, and they brand as Aakash and put out to students. But what's happened on the government side is that initially they're working with 100,000 units. The demand, as you can imagine, is significantly more than that. So to do broad campaigns when the supply is at the start is not going to be realistic. People that are not aware sometimes criticize this project for either lack of connectivity or lack of content. They don't realize there's a significant amount of content that has been created. So NMEICT, for example, put out a significant amount of free broadband into colleges and universities. So many hundreds and hundreds, maybe over 1,000 colleges and universities in India got equipped over the last 3 years with free broadband access. Then they spent a lot of time and effort and funding in creating ebooks. And they've created tens of thousands of ebooks which are freely available for these students. On the commercial side, we have similar kind of hesitations. Even with Aakash 1, even with the criticism associated with that, because the price point was so low, was so aggressive, 40 lakh units have been pre-booked. And while we are aggressively delivering as much as we can, we deliver 2,500, 3,000 units on a daily basis, the incoming pre-booking rate is significantly more than that. Now, our expectation, based on our volumes, is that we will do between 2 to 3 million units in that period, commercially.
there were a lot of accusations and allegations made that, you've essentially picked up a Chinese kit and assembled it in India. I mean, is that actually true? And, what was the problem the government had with you, and of course the several critics that you've cultivated over the last few years?
The government's not had any problem with it. In fact, the government's not the one who said that they have an issue with where the product's made.
Sure.
Okay? Yes, to expedite the delivery of the product, we started collating kits in China, and then we did the final assembly here, and then we shipped those. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. So those that say, hey, it's off the shelf from China, yaar le aao na.
There you have it, Brand Equity's educated predictions for 2013. Wishing you a fantabulous 2013. I'll see you next week. Have an enlightening year.